My pleasure. Thank you. So I have the pleasure of introducing Suzy Koontz. She's the founder and CEO of Learn Through Movement, is an actuary and educational consultant, a math teacher, and the creator of Math and Movement, Movement and Literacy, and over 150 kinesthetic teaching tools. As the author of over 15 books, Suzy's passion is helping students recognize their ability to learn and helping them lead healthier lives while achieving academic success. Suzy's mission is for all students to be on grade level in math and reading. As a national presenter for schools, conferences, and PTA/PTO, Suzy shares how movement-based learning can assist in accomplishing this goal. Suzy's work has been featured in television, radio, and print. Please see Suzy's media performances at mathandmovement.com. So let's all give a nice warm welcome to Suzy Koontz.
Thank you, everyone. It's really an honor and a pleasure to be here. I guess I want to start by saying that I come from a family of Rotarians, and it has changed my life. My mom was the first, one of the first female members of her Rotary Club. My dad encouraged me to join his Rotary Club, and they modeled service above self, and it really has been so great. I've started this program, Math and Movement, with a goal of all students being confident in math and reading. And I know this is possible if we add movement to the equation. So in today's presentation, what I'm going to do is to summarize my work with the National Math Foundation and Math and Movement, and summarize some research about why it is that when kids are physically active, they learn at a faster pace. I'm going to have a couple of videos to show you, and then at the end, there'll be some time for questions and answers. So I'm going to right now share my screen with you all, and hopefully this all will work. If you don't see it, my screen, please let me know. All right, welcome everyone to Kinesthetic Strategies to Improve Math Outcomes. So as Stefan mentioned, I have worked in this field of math and movement for a long time. I started out as an actuary. I became an associate of the Society of Actuaries, and I've written over 15 books for adults and children. I started Math and Movement, Movement and Literacy, and other programs that involve movement and academics. And then I'm also very proud to say that I am the vice president of the National Math Foundation. And it was the National Math Foundation that was able to secure grant money for Amy Egan's class in Arlington. And I'm really excited about sharing with you about the work that we've done in Mrs. Egan's class. So the National Math Foundation is a 501c3 public charity, and it's really, this goal is that all Americans can feel success with math and know that they can take a job that includes math. And what our mission is to foster exercise, healthy eating, and movement, and learning through movement as a means to develop a community of math literate members. So the more we can include physical activity and wellness in the process of learning, the faster kids can learn information and the more they can retain that information. So what is Math and Movement? It's the curriculum of the National Math Foundation. It's a kinesthetic multisensory approach to teaching math that incorporates physical exercise, cross-body movements, yoga, and floor mats. So like this picture you see on the right, these floor mats are big and they have bright colors on them. Numbers are printed on it, or maybe words or letters, math patterns. And students play the game. From the student's point of view, it is a game. It's an enjoyable process. From our point of view, the educator's point of view, it's rigorous, intentional math practice. So for an example, you might say to the student, can you find that number 36? Could you stand on that number? Could you add 10 to that number, or subtract 10, or add 1, or subtract 1? If you're on 36, how many more until you get to 40? Or how many more until you get to 100? You can also do rounding activities. The main advantage of this is the level of student engagement. It's just joyful learning. They're playing, they're having fun playing this game, but it is intentional practice for the student. So math and movement has two different parts. There are active math movements, and I'm going to show you one of these movements. We're going to engage in that movement ourselves. And then there's these floor mats or floor decals. So let me introduce you to this young man named Harlan. What I would describe him as is a 5th grade disillusioned math student. He had said to his mom that math was not for him. He was never going to be able to learn math. He was not successful in it. He noticed that his classmates were faster because they knew their multiplication, and he was just discouraged. So this is a video that captures 1 hour of a tutoring session. You'll see in the beginning that he is just turned off to math, and then towards the middle, he has like this light bulb moment. So I'd like you to watch the video and see where that light bulb moment is. Okay, so here's Harlan.
I have no idea how to do my threes, and let's get to it because I'm really suck at this. All right.
You're going to jump over and land on 3 and say 3, and then jump over to 6 and say 6, and keep going all the way down to the end of the floor mat.
3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. 21, 24, 27, 30.
3 times 5. How many hops will we make?
5.
All right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15.
So what is the answer?
15. Yeah, that was also really fun. But this is a really interesting way to learn because after jumping, you already feel really exhilarated and like good. So by jumping this, you're just feeling good by just being able to jump. It's like kind of like recess, but it's like coming in from a recess, but you're still doing math. So,
is it easier to learn this way?
oh yeah.
Your experience in math in school? Did you love it?
It's struggling. It's kind of hard because they make you sit down and go. It's not as easy as this because this you can move around and really jump around and think. Because I feel like this is a more fun way to learn, and I think everyone should do it.
So where do you think that light bulb moment was? You can put it in the chat box, or if someone wants to mute themselves to share. Where do you think it was where he realized that he could learn math, that he could be successful with this? Does anyone want to unmute and share?
It was the 3 by 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He got the answer and he was excited.
Mm-hmm. Right, and that builds that confidence in the student. This is exactly what we did at Eagle Creek Elementary School in Mrs. Egan's class, and the National Math Foundation has been able to secure other grant money for all of Eagle Creek to have something that we call a comprehensive package. All right, so let's go back to the presentation, and everybody. All right, now I want to share another part of the program, and these are these active math movements. And I have a video to show you at the end that was Mrs. Egan's class, and you'll see the students doing these movements. These are different movements that classroom teachers can include throughout the day to energize the students. They use cross body movements, and the benefit for that is in the brain. We learn and retain information when we do cross-body movements. Let me show you an example. This one is called Elephant March. I'll just show a little bit of this, and then I want to have you all do this movement. We're going to do this movement together. This is Elephant March. The first thing that you do is to put your hands straight out, clap them together, cross one over the other. Now take your thumbs and turn them up, and now turn them down, interlock your fingers, and scoop like an ice cream cone. This is our elephant's trunk, and we're going to do the elephant march. The first thing to do is to take your right foot and cross it over your left and whisper 1. Then your left foot and over your right and whisper 2. Then raise your elephant's trunk and say 3. Good. So can you all humor me? Can you all stand up? All right, we are going to do this elephant march. Here's what I want you to do. Clap your hands in front like this, then one hand over. Take your thumbs, turn them down, interlock your fingers, and then come down and up. If you know brain gym, this is called the brain gym hookup. For us, it is called, it's our elephant's trunk, and we're going to be doing this elephant dance. So take one foot, I know you can't see my feet, but like you saw in the video, one foot, cross it over. When you do that, whisper 1. Then the other foot, the other way, whisper 2. Now raise the trunk, 3, really loud. So make the multiple, the 3 loud. We're gonna start on 1 and go to 30. Ready, set, go. Cross, 1, cross the other way, 2, raise the trunk, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 30. All right, thank you very much everyone for doing that. How does your brain feel? Go ahead and put something in the chat box if you want to. If your brain feels a little more energized from these cross-body movements, just go ahead and put that in the chat box. All right, let's move on now. Just want to show some other ideas. This is an example of this big mat. You see the numbers are on there and the kids are playing games. They have a lot of fun playing these types of activities. If you want a student to learn how to tell time, they can hop around the clock. They can skip count by 5s. They can do elapsed time. They can just in general learn how to tell time. But you notice that the students are really engaged. They're really focused on their work. And again, like I mentioned, it's intentional, rigorous math practice. So multiplication, you can have kids work on this big mat, finding least common multiples or greatest common factors. You can have them simplify information. You could have them work on a big fraction mat and figuring out, perhaps what's bigger, 1/3 or 1/6, or how many more you would have to add to 5/8 in order to get to 8/8. Or Cartesian coordinates, you can have them graph, you can have them plot points. This girl is plotting points. So she'll put a toy down and then she'll figure out what the coordinates are for that. Other things you can do are stenciling outside areas. Throughout this grant that we got for Eagle Creek Elementary School, they have this whole set of stencils and they're going to stencil their outside areas. Another thing to do, which is great, is to put down either the paint or put decals down with high frequency words and have kids jump to learn, use that process outside. It's great because it increases oxygen and they get good practice with saying the words. Lots and lots of benefits, especially now during a pandemic. It's great to do anything that can increase the wellness of children. I want want to spend a little bit of time looking at some research. There's an author named Dr. John Rady who wrote a book called Spark, the Revolutionary New Science of Exercise in the Brain. What he did was to coin the term that exercise is like Miracle-Gro for the brain. And this is because of a brain chemical, BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. So what's happening is that the exercise stimulates the brain to produce extra BDNF, which is used to enhance the development of new neurons and their connections. Another reason why an increase in BDNF is very helpful for students is that when students have trauma, adverse childhood experiences, what can happen is that they can have an elevated level of cortisol. That cortisol is very damaging for the brain, specifically the hippocampus. So what ends up happening is the cortisol, and I made this in the form of a tank, goes in and attacks the brain. But BDNF, which I put in the form of a soldier, is something that can fight off this excess levels of cortisol and protect the brain. Because of adverse childhood experiences, it's really crucial that we have students in schools exercise.
Hello.
So this is another slide that is great for talking about the link between physical activity and brain activity. So what this is a composite brain scan of 20 students taking an identical test. You see with this top brain scan, there's less color. On the bottom brain scan, there's more color. The more color means more brain activity. And how did they get that more brain activity? By having kids be physically active. In this case, they had more activity because they just took a 20-minute walk before the test. So really, this is the answer to increased learning with students. If we can add physical exercise, students will learn information faster and they will retain more information. I also just want to share information that I know you already know about, and that is we have rising obesity, we have more ADHD and ADD, and exercise is something that can support the solution to rising obesity and ADHD. I want you all to have this PowerPoint presentation. I have a lot of information in here. If you're interested in going back and looking at it, I'm going to send an email that has all of this information, the PowerPoint, and other information, and you'll receive it. I also want you all to have a copy of my book. If you're interested, you can download that, and that will give a lot of ideas. If you have children or grandchildren, you can do these activities with them. I want to talk, though, about data that is very specific for math and movement. Davidson Elementary School is a school in North Carolina. They had 6 classrooms of 3rd grade. They randomly assigned those students into 3 different cohorts, A, B, and C. Cohort A did math and movement every single day from the beginning of the school year to the end. Cohort B used it a little bit. Cohort C did not use it at all. And you can see the great increase in data from the students that were using the movement-based learning. So we do lots of other things like family engagement, trying to encourage schools to have decals down in their hallway, and all sorts of training for teachers. This is a video if you're interested in a family engagement night. And a couple of other videos in here that you might be interested in of kids doing the activities. So think about painting the world with what kids need to know. Like everywhere they go, there's either positive affirmations or multiplication tables or words, and kids can just practice everywhere. So now I want to share a little bit about this great program that we've done with Eagle Creek Elementary School. It was Mrs. Amy Egan. I met her because of Zoom meetings. She came to a virtual training that I did last year, and she was very interested in a grant. So I partnered with Kirby Shephoyster, who's also on the call today, who's our program manager for the National Math Foundation. And I'm very pleased to say that the city of Arlington approved a COVID relief grant for Mrs. Egan's class. And then also we worked with another foundation, and they supported the comprehensive package for the entire elementary school, which is one of everything. I believe that other teachers from the school are looking for their individual sets of materials as well. And Here's some pictures from Mrs. Egan's class, and I have a really great video that I want to show you. What Mrs. Egan said about it is that once we ended our Zoom call, I zoomed into the classroom and taught the kiddos multiplication, that her students did not want to stop practicing math. They just were like, this is so much fun. I want to continue to practice. Let me show you this video from Mrs. Egan's class. So it was just really, really fun opportunity. I went twice into Mrs. Egan's class because she is on, had her kids come in, one group at the beginning of the week and then the second group. I want to share with you a testimonial from the students. I just thought this was so amazing. So Mrs. Egan shared this with me. She had the students write a thank you note. And so one of them was the City of Arlington. Thank you so much for the grant money you gave us. It was very generous of you. I enjoyed jumping on the mats. And when I was first introduced to multiplication, I felt overwhelmed and it was too hard. But when I jumped on the mat, it made it really easy. Now, thanks to you, I can pass my ×7 test. I am also no longer stressed out when taking a test. So this is a picture of the book. I want you all to have it. Stefan, I'm hoping I can send you an email that you can forward to everyone in the club. And then that will give you all the information on how you can download the book. And I want to thank you all very much. And we can now, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions.
I just have a comment, really. My 5-year-old is in kindergarten, and we're currently doing a homeschool program with her. And I got to say, your stuff looks way cooler than what we're doing with our daughter. It looks fantastic.
Good, thank you. Yeah, for a 5-year-old, just having the map that's from 1 to 20, that's, and then maybe the one from 1 to 100, that's the most of what they need to do when that age. They just have to develop that number sense and just playing with numbers.
Suzy, are your materials available for someone like Stefan that wants to teach her kids at home?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, I will. I'll put my website in. It's Math and Movement, mathandmovement.com is the website. I'll put that in the chat box.
Suzy, I think this is a great program. I think I was at learned something about the high school trying to encourage kids to learn math along with maybe building a project. It might have been Mr. Addington's, I think maybe he was designing or building a guitar one time, but it just seems like those two go hand in hand if you can apply it.
Right.
That's really cool. I really enjoyed your presentation, and my wife is not teaching anymore, but I kept taking screenshots and sending them to her during this program. So thank you.
Good. And in the follow-up email, you'll have a link to all the slides. I know I talked kind of fast and there's a lot more information in there. So if you're interested and want to go back and see other videos, you'll have the slides from the PowerPoint.
Suzy, I have a question regarding educationally challenged kids, IEPs, and or physically handicapped kids. How do you integrate them into this so they feel a sense of success and not exclusion?
That's such a great question. What we often do is to introduce it to the students before the other students, so that we give them success first, and then we also like it if they can lead the other students and teach the other students. So if they have knowledge before the other students learn about it, then we feel like they have great success with that.
Very good, thank you.
Suzy, the program looks like it's hidden for elementary only. Is there any programs that try to pick up junior high or high school that have been lost?
Yes, absolutely. So a lot of these materials were elementary, but for middle school, there's a tremendous number of materials: square numbers, cube numbers, exponents. I've written a book that helps students with algebra, learning algebra. It's called the Threes book. It's an interesting way to approach it, because what's happening now is that there are a number of students that have not mastered multiplication, and they're in middle school or they're in high school. And so I have taught math at the high school level, and it's really challenging for a student to learn algebraic concepts without fluency with multiplication. So I developed a book, I called it the Threes book, that walks students through learning multiplication just by threes, and then it brings them all the way through factoring quadratic equations. But again, just using the multiple of three to give them some confidence with these algebraic skills with just one multiple at a time. And that's called the Threes book.
Thank you.
Yes.
Suzy, one of the things, the facts of life, I guess, is whenever things get tight at a school district, and Eric might comment on this, and they start cutting staff, oftentimes the PE specialists at the elementary schools, they're one of the first to go. And it looks to me like from your research that you showed there that's not a good move.
Correct. That's right. That's absolutely true. If we want students to learn information, we need to have them be physically active. And the best way to do that, because there's so much that kids have to know, is to link the physical activity with the academic content and have them be active and learning at the same time.
Suzy, this was super, super awesome, because I was just like jumping out of joy here with my camera off, because when I learned math, like I was struggling in my 10th grade because we didn't have enough tutors to teach us math. And the way you made it simpler is super awesome, because I'm a math postgraduate, because I just learned like how to learn and teach, and then I started teaching. And with Moment, you can actually do wonders. And yeah, I would love to connect with you offline.
I will put my email. I'll put my email in the chat box.
Sure.
I will as well. I'll share mine as well.
You know, Cindy, now I know why your children are so smart. You just brought them to an Apple Cup game, and as the Huskies scored 7 by 7 by 7, you taught them how to count by sevens.
That's right.
That's true.
Brilliant, Cindy.
Thanks, John.
Suzy, I have a question. And I'm with the school district. I'm a former math teacher, and this is great. I love watching this, and it's so exciting to see that our students are involved with it here in Arlington. And I know teachers all over. The brain and how the brain works, and activity and motion and brain breaks and exercise. All those things are really something that's in the front and center of education right now. But how your curriculum, how old does it go up to? What's the range?
It's really mostly pre-K through fifth grade. Okay. For pre-K through fifth grade, we cover every single math concept that is taught. And then also for pre-K through fifth grade, literacy also, high frequency words, blending words, contractions, a huge number of literacy as well. For middle school, we have some materials. So I wouldn't say we have a whole curriculum. However, what I know about middle school, some middle school students is they're struggling with some of the basic math concepts, fractions specifically. And we really have an expertise with fractions. And then for high school, I would say we don't really have very much for high school. We have one that I call the unit circle mat, that is a big mat that has the unit circle on it, and I can get kids to learn sine and cosine of common angles. It's a pretty cool one in the Cartesian coordinates, but that's pretty much, all. Well, no, I guess we have functions. We do have a lot of things for algebra. So to answer the question, I would say pre-K through fifth grade, very solid, pretty much everything. Middle school, high school, some things that are helpful, but definitely not a comprehensive curriculum. And it's really not a curriculum anyway. It's really a supplement. But I do want to say we're really striving to turn math and movement into a curriculum. And for the summer, we know because of COVID that kids have gotten behind. And so we would encourage schools to include math and movement in their summer learning programs. And we have established something that we would call a curriculum for a summer learning program. The hope is then to extend it to AIS math classrooms and then go from there.
Yeah, and for the record, Dave, we're not planning on producing any PE teachers either, so it's good to know.
What's your position, Eric, at the school?
I'm in human resources.
Okay, very good. Great.
So Suzy, how much was the grant for that one classroom to be able to get all your materials?
That was a big grant for that one classroom. That was a $5,000 grant, and she received so many materials. And then the other grant that we received was a $10,000 grant. That's for the entire school. That's a grant. It was for professional development. It's stencils so that they can paint the math patterns outside, and one of everything. So I know that there's a number of schools, a number of teachers at Eagle Creek that would be interested in a $1,000 grant that would get them the set of the multiplication materials so that they can ensure that all of their students were solid with multiplication.
Sounds like we better contribute more to AEF.
That's just what I was thinking, John.
Hey, that's our educational foundation, Suzy.
Oh, great. Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Eric, are you still on?
Yes, I'm still here.
Well, this is Gene. I was thinking, Tony's going over to Pullman with the bank and so on. Maybe we could send a K-5 kid over there for the college. That's so nice.
I'd love for you to hear from Kirby Shepoister. He's on also. Kirby, why don't you share about the partnership that we have with Jenny Carr? Because I think that would be really nice in the Arlington area to have this type of program.
Of course. Yeah, no, thank you, Suzy. And thank you all for, having us present. Before I get onto that, I have to say, and this isn't flattery at the superficial level at all, but I have been absolutely overwhelmed with the amount of support that Arlington has been giving to education and the contacts that I've been working with at the city of Arlington itself, but also the Community Foundation of Snohomish County. You know, there is just an overwhelming excitement this year in supporting kids. So I have to applaud Arlington and you all for that type of support. And so just in general, I have to applaud you. It's been wonderful working with your community. And it's been so fun to be working with Amy in particular, but Eagle Creek, what a fun elementary school. So they're thrilled to have received this funding. And I know that the teachers are excited to expand these types of these projects into their own classrooms, but we've also heard talk of other schools in the Arlington Public School District too, who are interested in learning more about this. But what Suzy was talking about originally, we are thrilled that we have partnered with a small liberal arts college in the state of Virginia called Bridgewater College. And one of the teacher educator program coordinators there, Dr. Ginny Carr, has worked with us for quite a while actually to initiate a intervention style research program. She is trying to, well, she actually has successfully so far connected teacher program alumni from Bridgewater who are currently teaching at multiple school districts across the state, and we've in partnership developed this intervention program to provide each of these separate schools with these comprehensive packages. And the aim of this project is to research the efficacy of kinesthetic learning on the ground, specifically learning multiplication. I think and Suzy would agree with me too, that you know, multiplication is one of those core skills that you really have to have as a kid, or you're really going to struggle down the road as you move up in grades. So we really want to learn a little bit more about, you know, the how kinesthetic learning can help students build those multiplication skills. And we've already seen so much success in Virginia. We really want to expand this research project to higher education institutions all across the country. So we want to mimic this program at other schools in other states and continue to gather data about this type of approach to learning, but also just give kids more of these materials, supply teachers themselves with these materials and with this professional development. So we're thrilled with how the project is moving forward, but we see a lot of potential with it in the future. So I can totally see something like this happen in Arlington already with the amazing support that your community has given to Eagle Creek. So it's kind of a comprehensive take, but
thank you, Kirby.
Thank you.
So I know we're out of time. Just to say, we'd love to work with your local college. That would be amazing. So if anyone wants to connect us there, that would be great. So anyway, thank you very much, everyone. It was really great to speak with you today.
Great, thank you, Suzy, and thank you, Kirby. Just a reminder that we're gonna meet in person next week, Centennial Grill. So everybody have a good weekend.
Thank you, Suzy. That was great.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Suzy and Kirby.
Thank you, Suzy and Kirby.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Pleasure to meet you all.
Great to meet you all.
Bye.
Great program. Interesting.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah. And I'll send an email to Stefan, and he can share it with everyone. That will be the follow-up email from this. I want everyone to have a copy of the book so they can start doing movements and so forth.
And once I could count to 100, once I could count to 100, 5 at a time, I became a pharmacist.
Okay. Yeah, that's great.
Hey, Stefan?
I think he's
still on.
I think he's gone.
How about Bryce?
He's still, he's on.
Yeah, I'm
hey,
here.
Bryce, you know what we should do as a follow-up to this is have the teacher at Eagle Creek come and do a presentation in our program with the local favor.
Yeah, I agree. I'll have Stefan reach out to them.
That would be great.
Bring some of their floor mats and stuff down to the Centennial, and we can play some games.
That's such a great idea, and maybe a couple of the students could come. And I did a presentation once for teachers where the students from the school taught the teachers. They said, "Okay, here's how we learn multiplication," and they described in detail everything that they did. It was probably one of the best presentations ever. So that's a great idea. I hope Mrs. Egan's students can join you with that in that presentation.
So some of us are going to stay on for another meeting. So thank you, Suzy, and thank you, Kirby.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Yep. Thank you
Take
very
care.
much. Yep.
Stay
Appreciate
healthy.
your time. Yep. Bye-bye.
What's up next, Dave?
Arlington Rotary Foundation meeting.
Oh, okay. All righty. It's good to see everybody.
Do you want to join the board?
I'm sorry, I'm got static here. I can't hear you.
I think Simona took off, and I'll remove her from the